Testing one, two, three. Testing one, two, three. Hey, well, I guess everyone likes a good story time, so here I am telling mine. Well, this is going to be a long video, but I'm going to break it up, in digestible parts. So this is about my first time cruising on Norwegian Cruise Line. Yes, it was a horror story. So let's go back to how it all began. So I was looking for a solo cruise, my first time cruising, wanted to do something different for my birthday. So I decided to cruise. My Norwegian Cruise Line was not my first choice. However, my sister had some cruise credits that she gave to me from Norwegian Cruise Line because she did not go on her cruise. And as you can see, I am in my solo cabin. Anyway, so I did my research on a number of cruise lines. Norwegian was not my first pick, nor was Carnival. I wanted to go on Virgin Voyage. But anyway, I took the credits and here I am. So I booked this cruise months in advance. I would say over 6 months in advance that I booked this cruise. So did all my research, made sure I had all my ducks in a row. This cruise was pretty expensive because I had to fly into New York City to catch the boat. I'm from New York City, but moving out of my city, that's another story. Anyway, so flew into New York City 2 days before the cruise was scheduled to leave. We were scheduled to go to a couple of Caribbean islands. It's an 11-day cruise, sailing to the DR, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, Saint Martin, Saint Kitts and Nevis. It was about 7 Caribbean islands or 6 Caribbean islands, if I'm not mistaken. So it was the DR, Puerto Rico, Saint Kitts and Nevis, Saint Martin, Saint Lucia, the Virgin Islands, to name a few. I was so super excited about this trip. Anyway, got into New York, had a good time in New York. Watch a lot of cruise vlogs and blogs and videos on what to do, what not to do, what to expect. So I was well prepared. I even checked the weather often to make sure everything was cool. I knew there was a storm coming. However, the storm was not scheduled to pass through where we were going. I picked up the phone. I called Norwegian Cruise Line, to ask them if this will have any effect on where we were going to. And I was told that, when we get any information, we will let you know. That's always the consensus with them. When you call to find something out, it's always, when we get information, we'll let you know. Anyway, the day of the cruise come, pay for a cab from my hotel. Mind you, 2 days in New York was not cheap. Running around New York was not cheap. However, that's, what I wanted to do. A cab from the hotel to the port, not cheap. So all these are charges that you're incurring on top of, the shore excursions that I booked for every island, the ticket, the airfare round trip, right? So here we go. When I get to the port, the guys that take your baggage, they were there and they were like, well, did you hear that you're not going to the Caribbean? And I'm like, what are you talking about? He was like, yeah, look on the wall, there's a itinerary change. So it was me and some other people, we were out there. So there was a post a little paper on the wall, not anything that's glaring that you can see. If you walk by, you would miss it. If not for the baggage handlers, you would miss it. So look on the wall. So the itinerary that we had, that we booked for, that was diverted because of the storm to Maine, two ports in Maine, Boston, and then Bermuda, and maybe 4 days at sea. This is not what we signed up for. Norwegian Cruise Line did not communicate anything like this to us. They did not send an email. There were no phone calls, nothing. When I call with all this hoopla going on to the main line, they were like, oh yeah, we sent an email. I'm like, you sent an email the day of? But when I checked my email, lo and behold, there was no email there. So after everyone figured out, that we've been hoodwinked and we have to get on this ship because we were not going to get our money back. If we wanted to, I asked, if I get off the ship and leave, would I get some money back? They told me all I can get is $500 back in cruise credit, and they were going to penalize me $1,600 for leaving the ship. Mind you, this is not my fault. No one communicated that we're going to have an itinerary change to Maine. I just came back from Maine. I have family in Maine and Boston. I even asked, once the ship sailed, if I get off at Maine and don't come back, what would happen? They said, well, you can do it, but we would charge you $900. This is my first time cruising. I want to say that this was not a good experience for me. I am so disappointed. I was in tears. I'm going to leave the vibe check for Norwegian Cruise another day because there's going to be different parts. Norwegian Cruise Line sucks. Like, how you're going to change the itinerary. I get it. It's safety reasons. I'm not a moron. I do get that you would have to divert somewhere else, but to go to Maine and Boston and have like 4 days at sea and then go to Bermuda and have 3 days or 2.5 days in Bermuda and then 2 days at sea and back to New York. This is a shit show, or this is a ish show. I may have to edit this. I don't know. And no communication, no compensation. Mind you, you have to buy everything on this ship is an upselling. Like, they give you 300 minutes of cruise credits to make calls. When that's done, you have to buy a package. Those packages are like 200 and change. We receive no compensation, nothing, no money back. All they gave us was a 20% discount on another cruise with their cruise line. Mind you, I am never traveling Norwegian Cruise Line again. I may never get on a cruise again. I may get on a plane and go to my destination because this sucks. This Norwegian Cruise did not want to hurt their bottom line, and essentially they made the customers have to pay for this. No one on board was happy. Everyone is making the best of it, but people who were talking to me, they were super upset. People came in from overseas to go to this Caribbean cruise. People came from all over the world, even in America, different parts of America, to go to this cruise. And this is not what we signed up for. And what hurts the most is that Norwegian Cruise Line did not compensate us, it's just like they didn't care. It's like, oh, 20% and that's it. And nothing. We were basically held hostage on this ship. So I just wanted to come and say that, and I'm not knocking anyone, this is my first time cruising. It will be my last. Like I said, I did my research. This was not my first choice. I'm not a moron. I know that if a storm is coming for safety reasons, the ship needs to divert. However, Norwegian Cruise Line had information of this days ago, and opposed to letting us know before we got on the trip and canceling it and giving us our money back, or a portion of our money back, or even $1,000 in cruise credit. That was not done. They basically waited until we got to the port, and that's where we found out. Did not even have a representative standing outside to tell us that. It was the guys that were loading your bag on the pulley. They was the one that told us to look at the wall. If they were not there, then we would bypass that, go on the, go through security or customs, and then have to figure it out. The communication, there was none, no communication. The incentive for us not going where we were supposed to go, none. It was no regard for their passengers, especially passengers who are first time. Shit, all of us who've been traveling with them for years. These bloggers come on YouTube and they give you all the good glamorous stuff about cruising. For me, cruising sucks. Would I do this again? No, it didn't pass the vibe check for me. I don't like the idea of being cooped up in a ship and then, thinking about, what my ancestors been through crossing that waters, and some of them may be there, and I'm on the ship with some of their ancestors. So I'm going to make a part 2. Just wanted to, pop in and make this video. Again, don't be coming up in my comments acting crazy. This is my experience. For the first time, it was not a good experience. Would I do cruising again? I don't think so. I may change my mind. I just did not like how Norwegian Cruise Line handled us. They basically had us captive on this ship, like no incentive, nothing. We had no say so in the matter, and everything is an upcharge. For them to give you your money back, they hold it as a credit to see if you're going to plan more excursion in Bermuda. So for me, this experience sucks, and I hope this reached Norwegian Cruise Line, whoever is the owner, which I know you don't care, but you suck. You should have given us back our money, I'll be back with a part 2 about the vibe check. Bye.